A gentleman from Florida is recognized to address the
Thank you,
amendment.
Mr. Chairman. I'll try to be brief. Look, this has been a very interesting debate, but I just also think that sometimes reflecting on some reality points is important. Let me reflect my inner Judge Carter and tell you a story. I'm not going to do him justice, but look, in the city of Miami, which is not a small place, a number of years ago, there was a race for the mayor of Miami. The person won the election. He was certified, swore in as mayor, and then a court determined that the fraud in absentee ballots, it was demonstrated that there was so much fraud that the court actually took out the mayor who had been sworn in, and the person who came in second was actually then sworn in as mayor. Now, let me tell you why I tell you that factual statement. The concept that absentee ballots, I think it's a great thing, if done right, to avoid fraud. But the concept that there is never any fraud in elections and absentee ballots are absolutely never going to be fraudulent is just not factually correct. I think that the sponsor of the amendment has, is doing it in good faith, and her and I talked also, and I explained to her, I said, this is the problem. There are, if you have safeguards, fine. But if you don't, anybody who thinks that absentee ballots, voting by mail, for some magical reason is never going to be fraudulent, really has no idea of some basic lessons of history.
Well,
So again,
gentlemen,
reflect, yes, Mr. Chairman, of course.
Just to reinforce his gentleman's points, and I say this, look, as somebody that totally believes states should make their own decision, and
As do I.
they want to be all male, that's fine by me, that's none of my decision. But there was a commission chaired by, of all people, former President, late President Carter, and James Baker on this issue, and it made the point that actually fraud was most common in absentee ballots. And I can just tell you from, in my state, that is true. We had a former Speaker of the House that ended up having to go to jail because he committed fraud trying to elect his own father in absentee thing. I'm not saying that happens widely or happens, and again, I would not presume to tell people in the state of Washington what to do, or Oregon, or, they have their systems, those are great states. So, but to my friend's point, that's actually the easiest place for fraud to happen. Doesn't mean it happens on a vast scale or tips elections. I just make the point. Yield back to my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, I'm not saying that absentee ballots, I think they can be really useful and they can be a great, if done correctly, like anything else. But again, it's just this kind of la-la land feel that for some, that absentee, or everything that can be done in an election will be done without fraud, is just not based on history. And absentee ballots, unfortunately, and again, in Florida, we now have, you can vote by mail. And it's done correctly, and it's done securely. It can be done, but I think we just have to be aware of that there have been circumstances, if not done right, and again, that's just what history shows us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.